Set the wild echoes flying. Why did I call it that? Oh, but that's because it's a line from one of the poems that I have used to pad out the piece, to put between the movements. As it stands, it's unplayable, because there are 4 pretty strenuous movements. You'd have to just play one and then go home. But with the poems in between, it means you can perform the whole thing. It's a bit extreme, but it can be done, and that was the idea. I used 3 of the 6 poems that Benjamin Britten used in his serenade for horn and strings and tenor, commonly known as the serenade for tenor horn and strings. Happily, on the recording, Tony Halstead's reading them, and he does a beautiful job. He's got a slightly northern sounding voice, and he's a performer. So he plays the poems as if he's playing them on a horn, and it's marvellous.
The day's grown old, the fainting sun has but a little way to run. O soothest sleep, if so it please thee, close in midst of this thine hymn my willing eyes. The long light shakes across the lakes, and the wild cataract leaps in glory. Blow, bugle, blow, set the wild echoes flying.
The London Chamber Orchestra, for a while, they did this, I think it was a great thing, and I hope they bring it back. And it was putting an encore after the final piece in the programme, which in my case was the Eroica Symphony. After playing the Eroica Symphony, which is quite a blast, to get out on the front of the stage and play a little encore. And I couldn't think of anything suitable, so I was sort of perhaps doing something a bit funny with lots of hose pipes, but that didn't really work either. So I ended up writing a short piece for natural horn, and I don't know why I chose the natural horn. I think I just like it a lot. It's spectacular in that, you know, it's just this, and you can get so many sounds and notes and effects out of it. So I wrote a piece which had a drone. I got the whole orchestra playing just one note, a C, and wrote I think it was about a 2-minute piece, and played it after the Eroica, and it went down really well. Round about the same time, my friend Alison Balsam was putting on a charity concert for Brass for Africa, which is a really great charity. And would I play something? Again, I couldn't think of what to play. So again, I thought, well, a hand horn with lots of sound effects, you know, wild animals and rhinoceros, elephants and what have you. So I wrote that piece, and that went down very well as well. So I had these 2 pieces, and after those 2 performances, I had these 2 pieces, and I kept coming back to them and changing things and adding bits. And both of them independently kept sort of expanding and growing. And by some sort of strange process that was surprising to me, they both kind of divided into each of them divided into 2 pieces. And so then I had 4. And I thought, well, let's stick to the 4, but pad out the 2 newish ones and make them more different. Oh, the other interesting thing was they kept having bits of Britten's serenade in them, not just from the prologue and the epilogue, but also from the other movements, including the movement that doesn't have the horn in it. The one, you know, the one with the sung. It's the best movement in the piece, actually. It's so lovely, and all horn players in the world wish it had a horn in it. It does now, because I nicked it and played it on this. Wrote it for this, plus a lot of singing, because the amazing thing about that movement, it's full of incredible harmony. I tried really hard to squeeze that kind of chromatic harmony out of this, which is verging on impossible, but it brought with it some quite interesting, I thought, quite interesting effects, and it turned into a piece of music anyway. And so that's the 4 movements. And then I stole the poems to make it survivable. That was it. Set the wild echoes flying. And then I had to start practicing it, of course, which, I mean, it is really, really difficult to play. I can't honestly play it. I haven't done it right yet. Mike Purton and Tony Faulkner were the sort of production team, and they were brilliant. They were brilliant. I couldn't have nicer, more helpful, more supportive people. I mean, it's quite quite a scary thing to record, because this is your last chance to get it right, kind of thing. Did a lot of practice. We recorded it in a lovely little church, a peaceful little quiet church in Orpington called All Saints. The first 2 movements on day 1 went pretty well, I thought. But then about a week later, I came back to do the other 2 movements. I lost my voice. And this was to go and do the movement with all the singing in it. So you can imagine, I was in a bit of a panic. I took every decongestant I could find. I thought it was a disaster, but Mike Purton he must have spent days editing it and managed to piece it all together from the bits and it's actually okay. So this kind of thing happens, you know, you spend months organising, you know, everyone arrives at the place to do the recording, microphones, Tony turned up to do the poems. You can't change it just because you don't feel very well. I'm happy with it. It sounds better than I thought it did, particularly because of the skills of Tony Faulkner and Mike Purton. I find myself telling people I think it's the most perfect thing I've ever owned in my life. It's made by Engelbert Schmidt, and there's something about it. Everything's in tune-ish, as far as a natural horn can be. I mean, it's a funny looking thing, isn't it? And I love the fact that it has absolutely no moving parts, at least no moving parts when you play. There's this, you can adjust this. That's a tuning slide, but that doesn't move. You set that and then you leave it. So this is a classical natural horn in F. I absolutely love this thing. It's almost weightless, you know. It just weighs ounces. It's made of very, very thin brass, and it's somehow perfect. Well, first of all, an apology to all female horn players who really aren't going to be able to play the whole piece, at least, because it's written for a male voice. But I think there are a couple of movements without any singing and playing in. It is quite an impractical piece to perform. Although, I have to say, audiences seem to really like it. This is a really surprising thing. Maybe it looks like people enjoy watching somebody suffer. I don't know, because it is an ordeal to play it. But I think I've played it now, must be 8, 9, 10 times in lots of different places. And every time the drone has been different. So the drone which originated with the orchestra playing, everyone playing as the lowest C that they could. I've done that now with 4 tubas. That was a nice one in Finland. 36 horns doing it in where was that? Ithaca in America, and 12 horns, a string quartet, organ. I've done it with an organ as well. Yeah, and it's always nice to have a different coloured background sound. This is just a sort of background drone in the last movement to finish off. And on the recording, it's 4 horns. I mean, in terms of performing it, all you need to do is work out where you're going to stand and where the poems are going to be read from. Practicing it to recording standard was, I mean, literally hundreds of hours of practice, hundreds. And I mean, every performance that I've done has been, I mean, dozens of hours, I would say. It's a very work-intensive piece. I guess it's my own fault. The reason the piece is so damn difficult to play is that I just, while I was writing it, I kept thinking, oh, I wonder if I should try that, and try this stupidly high note or that stupidly low note, or see if that chord's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Right, write it in, and then go straight to some stupidly high note or ridiculous glissando, and very loud to very quiet, and impossible double stopping. It's completely my own fault, but I kind of couldn't stop myself doing it. I don't know why. Perhaps I thought I was never going to perform it, although no, it's not even that, is it? I knew I would. I suppose I like a challenge, and I suppose I sort of knew that it was possible, and it would be good for me to just keep practicing that stuff until I really could play it and make myself have to go and perform it in public. I guess some madness like that. I never really thought I was writing it for anyone else. That idea, the idea of publishing it as a work to be studied, came much later, for which I apologise, really. I mean, if anyone has a go at it, I'd love to hear someone try and play it. I'd love to hear it played. That would be wonderful.